Hey guys, Keith's Trains here at the Garden State Model Railroad Club, and today I have with me an Athearn's Ready to Roll F59PHi Amtrak West scheme, otherwise commonly known as the Pacific Surfliner. We're going to take this out of the box and let's do a quick review of it. Now that we have the locomotive out of the box on the bench, we can take a look at it. I weighed it before coming to the club today, and it weighed about 1.3, 1.4 pounds on the scale. If I take a look at the top, we can actually see quite a bit of detail in the vents, and we can see even some of the fan blades inside of it. So we do have quite a bit of detail on this. I'm actually impressed with the amount of detail, considering this is the ready to roll line versus the more detailed Genesis line. You can see the horns kind of tucked in underneath there. On the side we have some of the air intake vents throughout the locomotive. We can see quite a bit of detail in the trucks. Again, considering this is the ready to roll line versus any of the more detailed like Genesis lines, it looks pretty good. We come around, we look at the cab in the front. We have the plows, we have the ditch lights, headlights right in here. We don't have an interior model, so looking at this, and I'm not sure if the camera is able to capture this, I can see right in down to the wheelbase through the front windows, but that's not a deal breaker or anything that upsets me personally. And then just looking at the other side of this, we come around, and then in the back we can see the chain links. On the back end we have the nice detailed stairs, the door, the number board, and the backlight there. And I can see some of the connections down below on the back, and even a little bit kind of covered by the plow, so we don't really see them on the front, but that's not a big deal for me. We do even have some of the little decals right in here with information about the locomotive. So overall, the quality and the detail of this locomotive is impressive, especially considering the price point for these. So I think it was a good catch, and we'll put it on the tracks, fire it up, and take a look at it. So I have the locomotive on our test track here, and it does have a Soundtrack's Economy decoder in it. By default, Soundtrack's decoders like to turn on and do the startup sequence as soon as they have power, so I flip on the power to the test track. So now that it's gone through the startup sequence, we'll turn the headlight on. We do have ditch lights on this locomotive, and when I blow the whistle, just like the real thing, we do see the flashing ditch lights. There are a number of different functions on this locomotive, the ditch lights being a separate one from the others. So as we kind of go through some of the sounds real quick, you heard the horn, you hear the bell, it does have the short horn function. Figured we would get a real quick view of the back side, so put it in reverse. And then real quick I will hit the emergency stop. Hitting the emergency stop goes through a shutdown sequence. We don't see a red emergency light on this model. Now if I give it a little bit of speed, we'll see that it starts up again. Hey guys, I have the locomotive on the track now, and as you can see, as soon as the track gets power, the sound and the locomotive goes through the startup sequence. So I'm going to turn the headlight on, and then a separate function is the ditch lights. I turn the ditch lights on. One of the things that I really like about this model is that when I blow the horn, the ditch lights flash like they would in real life. So I'm going to pull out of the yard now. And here we go. Let's take a look at the low speed performance of the engine. So I'm going to set the engine. We're at speed stop number 1 of 28. Something that I've noticed that at this speed the engine is actually absolutely quiet. I don't hear any noise coming from the locomotive itself. I do hear some noise generated from the electric hum of the cars or the environmental, but not the engine. So I give it a little more speed. We're at 2, 3, 4. Overall, it does perform well at slow speeds. Let's take a look at the low speed performance again. This time I have 6 cars hooked up to the locomotive. We're now at speed stop 1, and you see even with the 6 cars that it is pulling it a little bit. So I speed up. We're now at 3, 4, 5, 6. So overall, it does very well at low speed. The final grade in the loop at this layout is a 5% grade, which makes it a great place to test any new locomotives and their ability to pull. So we have 6 passenger cars behind it, and we're going at about speed stop 40. And we can see that the train is struggling a little bit to make it up this hill, but overall it's still able to pull these cars up. We've seen a lot higher end models struggle more and even fail to pull up smaller loads up this hill. So overall, I'm quite impressed with its ability to pull and the amount of weight it can handle. I've had the chance to run this model for the past couple weeks at the Garden State Model Railroad Club. I think that overall it has a great quality of detail and that it performs very well on the layout, especially with our steep grade. For anyone who is interested in either Amtrak or the West Coast, or specifically Amtrak West Coast, I think this is a great addition to any collection. I'm impressed with how well it stacks up, especially compared to some of Athearn's and other manufacturers' higher end models. For their ready-to-run line, it does a great job competing with high-end models. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch this review.